we have a new addition session, the power of diversity in machine learning. So over the past few months, Chhavi J, Chief Executive Officer at Live AI Dreams, along with Vijay Reddy, who is Associate Professor at Harvard University, unfortunately couldn't make it for today, have been working together to design this session. And again, this is the first in our symposium. And with that, I would like to welcome Chhavi.
Thank you so much for waiting till almost 4:30. So yes, today the topic is power of diversity, and I actually gave the topic name first, and then I was passionate about this topic from the beginning, but then I wanted to make sure that Research Symposium deserves something like this, and why are we talking a HR related subject here, and can research community do something about it at all? And to make this talk more research oriented, I had to then deep dive into many things, and I have to also make sure that the material that we have here is giving something to take forward, and each one of us can do something about it. So let me first go to the topic that is right now not so much in discussion, because everybody is thinking about something which is like elephant in the room. AI is taking all of our jobs. So as per the media, AI is going to take over all the jobs. So diversity or no diversity doesn't matter, because whoever is employed is not going to be employed. So less women are going to get fired than men, because there are less women working than men. So why care? So that is another point to think about, that really is this the right moment to talk about diversity, when all of us are kind of thinking, okay, ChatGPT, GPT-4, and maybe by GPT-10, our jobs will be gone. So, so then I thought that yes, it matters, and this is the time when it matters the most. And the reason being, in our life, AI is taking so much more decisions than ever before, and it is almost like we are reinventing the world again. It is almost as powerful as invention of electricity or computer, the stage that AI is in right now. So the rules of the game are going to get set right now. And if those rules are wrong, then it will be even more uphill battle to fight this particular thing. And it's not only just about the communities that are not included. It is actually more about the communities that are included. So I have a slide where I will tell you how the people who are actually included are going to be more at loss than the people who are not included. Because these AI systems are not traditional systems. They are just the data-driven, big, computation powers who don't know our emotions and who don't know what we actually intended from them. So let's go further and see. These are all still HR-related stuff, and still, good to have diversity and stuff. But does it really impact revenue? Do we really care about diversity in our products? And does customer experience changes with diversity or no diversity in our product? Because, being a CEO of a company, that is all I care about, to be honest. Because every single dollar that we get, we cannot put it into something which is, just at some 10 year down the line, 20 year down the line, something will happen or not happen, but we actually want to see that thing getting changed into something which is tangible, which is like, product, which is like really customers saying that this product is better than the other product. So how does diversity matter in that case? And do we have any concrete examples about that? So let's see. Like, we have seen many examples in past days where there is so much talk about ChatGPT. And in fact, I was kind of surprised that Google also announced their model at the same day when ChatGPT got announced, like the GPT-4. They had like bunch of announcements, Vertex AI and so many other things. But all the posts on most of the social media platforms were about how amazing GPT-4 is. and people are like so excited, plugins are coming, and okay, I can create an image and stuff like that. But where does that started? Like that suddenly happened, or was there a precursor before that? So before this kind of innovation happened, there was a GPT-3. And you'll be surprised to know that the kind of output that model was giving was good for probably few things, but it had a bias, and which was a pretty bad bias. It used to put words like naughty with girls, and if it knows that a woman is writing some content, it used to write sucked more number of times than any other word. And if somebody is trying to write terrorism, it used to include Islam in that. And if somebody is trying to write money, then it used to write Jewish in front of it. Imagine that type of technology getting deployed everywhere in the world. In every system, every plugin, whatever booking you want to do, whatever you want to do, if that technology is, thinking behind the thing that, okay, if it is Islam, it is terrorism. If it is women, it is sucked. You can't imagine that type of word. But that is the reality. It is, thank God, that GPT-3 was not so successful, and probably that was one of the reasons. But kudos to the inventors and kudos to the management team that they quickly realized this, and they quickly formed a team that basically mitigated the bias. And they were even themselves very surprised to know that mitigating that kind of bias was actually very easy. It was just a matter of putting another 20,000 examples of conversation in that particular model that basically can break those biases. And those, I'm just talking about 20,000 paragraphs, which they did in a day. And then they saved all the bad press and everything, because as soon as somebody reported, oh, I see this content, they had an answer, they had a big article, they had a white paper and whatnot that, okay, we already addressed it. But imagine if somebody is just taking the model and using the API to the model, quantize the model and put it on their chipset, how much bad press, how many newspaper clips, and how much backlash can you imagine for that type of company? But the poor person who is even doing that, the particular researcher, he won't be even aware what he's getting into. And this is not something hypothetical. These are actually the real world examples. I'll try to not take company names whenever I don't have anything positive to say after the bad example. But let me just tell you that few companies had to spend millions of dollars on certain recruiting systems or some advertising systems, or even to share resumes, like the job postings with different type of people. And after spending millions of dollars, they got backlash from the community and they had to take it back. This is nothing. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Let me now tell you about a person. The person who thinks that a black man is not going to give the loan back, but a white man will. A woman cannot be a good programmer, but a man can be. A person named Josh is not going to offend again, but a person named Obama can. Can you imagine that person like sitting with you and you have to tolerate him? And not just tolerate him, he is making the decisions for you. What you can see on your TV screen, what kind of recommendations in your Netflix come to you, in your YouTube ads, and not just that, every single arena of your life, if that type of person is making your decisions. And that type of person is there, and that is AI. And this poor AI does not have any fault in that, because it does not know what to do, what not to do. It is just scraping the data from internet, and the data on the internet has those bias, because our society, whatever it has put on the internet, has that bias. Now we don't know where that bias comes from, or are we saying that bias is real or not? But the important fact is, when our researchers, they are collecting the data, when they are building the models, they are most of the time dealing with the black box. And it is a responsibility of the management team to use their experience and use their insight and make sure that the researcher who is actually focused only on that one subject, how to make that accuracy grow from 96% to 98%. He will not probably think about these things, but the management has to think about these things and they have to give them tools. So, these things are there, okay, what can I do about it? If it is there, it is there, But the answer is actually very simple. The first thing comes from the awareness. We have to first of all know that there is a bias, and we have to be aware that we also have bias. As a human being, to perceive anything around us, we need to have bias, because we cannot just keep thinking about everything from scratch and then make our opinion. These biases actually help us to make predictions very fast. The problem comes when we don't want to address those biases, when we don't want to listen to the other person who is saying that you have a bias. So this was easier when the humans were communicating. Let me give you an example. I was sitting in a management meeting and I saw that all the women are getting rating of 3. They are starting from like the highest rating 4 and then they are coming down to 3. Why? Because at the 4, the discussion started, okay, she is a very good programmer and design was very good and stuff like that. And then suddenly one person will say, oh, but she doesn't report her status so clearly to me. I had to ask her. Then the other person says, oh, she missed her deadline. She only sent me mail. She didn't walk up to me. And then the third person and the fourth person and the fifth person, and her rating is 3. While the mediocre performers who did not even come to office, who were taking like 3 weeks vacation and then 3 weeks vacation and then 3 weeks vacation to total up to 4 months vacation in a year, they also got the same rating. So I kept watching for some time and I told the management team, I was the only woman, that do you really think that giving status is such a big deal? Is it not the responsibility of the leader to go and ask for that status instead of just always expecting the employee to come? Like if the release got delayed because status didn't come, I see more like a problem in the lead than in the reportee. And then they suddenly were able to correct their bias. So this was a human interaction and they realized, and immediately the ratings, we actually changed those ratings and we made them correct as per our understanding. But imagine if you have a GPT-4 API in your recruitment system, in performance analysis system, or some other kind of AI API, and that is a black box. And we just think because everybody in the world is using it, so we should use it. We just start using it blindly. Then what happens? Because on the surface, everything looks good. Everybody in the management team is very happy about it. And the people who are not happy about it, they anyways don't have any say about it. So that is why this discussion right now is extremely important, because we are moving from the world where humans used to take decision to the world where machines are going to take decision. And the most important problem with that is it is not the traditional computing. In the traditional computing, we used to write if this happens, else this happens, else if this happens, and so on and so forth. We used to specify those conditions. Now we are not even specifying the conditions. The AI system is learning the conditions from the data. And after it has learned those, we don't even know what it has learned. Otherwise, imagine would GPT-3 release that model, the OpenAI company, will they release that model GPT-3 when it has such biases? Obviously, they will not. They are probably one of the best engineers in this particular area. But even they couldn't find that this system has the bias. So forget about the end user. So the most important part is remember these systems have biases and we need to do much, much more than what we're doing right now. We cannot use the systems from the repository and think, okay, if it is mobile net v2, it has to be good. If it is GPT-4 API, it has to be good. No. Every particular system is trained with the data from the internet, and every single system can have bias, unless we are very careful about the product that we are building and launching in the society. So let's talk about the unconscious bias a little bit further. Like I was saying, the people who actually are represented, even they have problem, and they have sometimes even bigger problem than the people who are not represented. So all these AI related camera systems, they are installed everywhere now. Imagine if they capture only the light skin colored intruder and they don't capture the dark skin colored intruder. This is the facial recognition system that is operated, deployed everywhere, because people figured it very late in the game that the facial recognition systems are not working properly for dark skinned people. So if a dark skinned intruder enters the house, good luck, because AI probably will not tell about it. And on top of that, if it is a woman, then they have even a better chance to be intruder, because they will not even identify that it is a woman. There is a very large company like the Big Five who deployed this facial recognition system everywhere, and then that system couldn't identify Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, and other such people. Serena Williams was also one of them. Imagine how many photos these ladies have, on the internet, and how come that data scraping team couldn't take those photos from the internet. It's not their problem, because what they were doing is they were taking the representative data. So AI has this problem that if some particular data point goes far away from the average, it tries to ignore that data point to reduce the loss. And those data points were, unfortunately for that company, turned out to be Michelle Obama and such celebrities. And that company's facial recognition algorithm, instead of even telling their name or something, it actually told that it is 36% confidence that it is a man. And there was no probability of them being a woman. Imagine the embarrassment for the company, because it is not about the facial recognition system, and it is not about those women or any woman for that matter. It actually just basically gives the society or the media a way to think, okay, how good can their AI be? If their facial recognition system cannot recognize Michelle Obama when Obama is the president, how good can their AI be? So it gives you doubt in the customer's mind. And it is all unconscious bias. Nobody was actually designing the system to work like that. But it just happened because the data was like that. And we already covered the brand value impact, but there are some companies that are actually getting impacted right now because their AI systems are putting more sexist photos of females out there. So there are some very successful companies, especially after the generative AI advent, who became multi-million-dollar company because they are generating from the selfie some kind of cartoonish characters of that selfie. But in every cartoonish character, they are actually sexifying women, and they are basically putting this astronaut on the moon for the men. So these systems are not just the selfie systems, they are actually putting thoughts in people's brain, because that is what now internet will have. Now the data that we are generating, that is the data that next AI system will use. And then it becomes a cycle where our bias as a society gets more and more reinforced through these AI systems. But till it is to the selfies, I don't mind it so much. Okay, people can stop using it. How about the employee moral impact? If the company's employees find out that their system is biased and they are not promoting female engineers, and that actually happened with some company who invested multi-million-dollar in this system where they were addressing the promotions and stuff, and what that system was doing, it was trying to match the female employees and male employees, their track record, with the people who got high evaluation in the previous appraisals. So let's say if an employee is high performer throughout, then AI has figured, okay, this guy is high performer because of this. And now it turns out to be that all the high performers are men. That data at large conveyed that to AI. Because unluckily for that company, that data had the women who actually became mother in between. And every time, that woman was going for maternity leave, obviously she was taking break and she was coming back, and she was probably in some cases not going for entire 8 hours a week. And that company was just unlucky in this case. They just collected the data randomly. And now the AI system thinks that women in general are not going to get promoted. And that AI system is actually not even considering women. So that is one story. Another story is there was this company who recruited another company to do their job postings. And it is a cutting edge AI that they are using. And this cutting edge AI did not give job postings to women at all. So when they are posting LinkedIn ads, it is not going to appear on my feed because I'm a woman. However, I can be anything. It will appear only on men's feed. Imagine the repercussions of that. And imagine if somebody finds out that. Because FTC have clearly told now that if the AI system is turned out to be biased, they will put heavy penalties and heavy actions against the company. This would have been fine if somebody would have been doing it deliberately. But the problem is the people who are doing it by mistake are the most decent and nicest people we know and we work with. I have worked with so many PhDs in my career, and I have worked with so many people who are actually, especially working in AI, they are probably the nicest people and the most mature people because they deal with so much of data and they deal with so many of people. But they are building a world which is not inclusive and which is not even inclusive for themselves. So there was this another case where there was a banking system who was supposed to issue loans. And again, they did the same thing. They collected all the data, fed into the best AI algorithm with the best AI engineers, and out comes an algorithm that charges more interest rate to Black and Latino people and less interest rate otherwise. And that system goes in the world, stays in the world for almost 1 year when people start addressing this, noticing this, and started discussing it. And that company had to then withdraw not just that system, but all the systems that had AI in them, because they got through heavy penalties and heavy scrutiny after that. And imagine about the customer trust on that company, because if it can do that to the Black people, what is the guarantee what it is doing to the white people? Obviously, people who are using it, they don't know what it is doing. It is just a black box. So that is a problem that we have to really address. We have to be aware and we have to be very careful, because from cooking to cleaning to what to watch, what to eat, how to get educated, what to book for our travel, everything AI is deciding. And imagine what it does to the people who are actually sitting on these big corporates in the management team, who actually, are the CEOs and the top management team. They are putting millions of dollars in these teams and in this research, and then they have to take out that system. Suddenly, one night it has to be withdrawn because it had a bias. Obviously, they will get the blunt, directly from the media, but what will happen to the team? That is another thing. What will they do? They will not say, okay, sorry, thank you, and use more data. Obviously, they have to take more drastic measures than that. And it is not just about that. It is actually about time to market. AI right now is all about time to market. If we don't do time, like our product correctly, it is already history. So I was on a research team where everybody was one of the same ethnicity and they used to speak the same language. And they started doing some research, and the research was about this robotic arm. They wanted to figure out for that robotic arm which pieces in the image are handles, and how can robot pick up an object and how can a robot put back the object. That is all they wanted to figure out. So for that, they were segmenting the parts of the image to annotate which part is which. Now they were all from the same ethnicity, and they are doing the multi-million-dollar research, and they figured that this particular system, which everybody says is excellent, is not excellent, because when they are doing this the cattle experiment. It is not saying mouth, the thing from where we pour the tea. They are trying to search for that. They are trying to search for the mouth, and it is not annotating that. So they concluded everybody, including the management team, everybody was of the same ethnicity, that yes, this is a problem we need to solve. And they were pouring more and more money into it. I just went to attend that presentation, and I asked them, did you try Spout? Because my daughter is very little, and she goes and sings this rhyme that, here is my handle and here is my spout. Did you try the spout word? And they said, yeah, we tried, it didn't work. So I was surprised. Then I went back on my desk, I loaded the model, I tried it myself, and it worked. So I called a developer on the site who said it didn't work. What happened? He said, I tried Sprout. I said, it is not R, it is spout. With that word, can you imagine a very big company putting a lot of research money in some research which is not required? They are solving a problem which does not need solving. It is just because those people don't speak that language and they don't know what to do with that. So imagine if they would have just one person speaking a different language from a different ethnicity. What could have been done in that much time with that superb engineering power? So it is not just about, being equal to women, and I'm not like trying to convince people to recruit more women and all. I'm just saying that we have a tremendous power at our hands, and we are literally making decisions not for ourselves, but for the entire world. The people who are working in AI, they have much, much more responsibility than anybody else in any profession have at this point in time. So be careful about that. And this is okay, our generation, we are already middle-aged, something will happen, AI will take over our jobs or whatever. We have surpassed half of our life. What about the next generation? What about the people who are, seeing us, how we are behaving in our environment, and then they are going to behave the same way? These are the seeds that are going to grow up into the plants, tomorrow. They are watching Ice Bucket Challenge. And then they're repeating that ice bucket challenge on TikTok. And what that challenge is, people are putting ice on their head and then they're sharing it with other people. That is fine. Fun is good. But what if there is another crisis in the world that needs attention, and that crisis does not even show up on your feed at all? These are the systems that are driven by likes. They see how many likes this particular post is getting, how many forwards and reposts it is getting, and it is blindly just propagating that. Imagine if a researcher will do little bit more due diligence, put one extra feature which says, okay, what is the importance of this particular other news also, and if it is very important by some parameter, then I will show this feed as well. That can have a drastic impact. Because those problems will not solve themselves if no human will work on them. And if all the kids and all the younger generation is just putting an ice bucket on their head. So it is much, much more important and powerful than just a recommender system which is trying to make people do more likes. Imagine if I go and I search on a very big, the company that is selling almost everything home. If I search for a toy for a 5-year-old girl, it shows me only pink colored toys. Like literally there is no other color. For a 5-year-old girl, only pink colored toys. And those pink colored toys have another problem. They are mostly all kitchen toys. And they don't have Lego, they don't have robot, they don't have computer, because they come in the black and the gray color. And that doesn't pass the criteria of a pink colored toy. So you can't even build your next generation. Like, most of the parents are busy and most of the kids learn from other kids. If every other girl kid in the class is getting that Barbie doll which is pink color, and she has no introduction to the Lego which can also be built in the pink color but which was not, then we are just creating further and further divide, because we say, okay, we are not recruiting women because there are not enough women to be recruited. I mean, that is sometimes truth also. In some areas of industry, there are not enough women who are educated to be recruited at that position. But where is it starting? It is starting at this level. Now imagine this is the system that the previous one was about the photographs from DALL-E 1, and the second one is about the photographs from Midjourney. And we all know that these two systems are far apart. Like DALL-E 1 can generate images which look like something, but DALL-E 5 can generate images which are actually very good. Sometimes people can't even differentiate whether it is real or fake. But they both have the same problem. You can't imagine that the system changed so much in terms of the technical depth and breadth in 2 years, but it didn't change at all in terms of the bias. If you ask it for the creative directors, it gives you only men, that too of a certain type. If you ask for doctors, scientists, anything, it gives that. Only men and only of certain type. And it doesn't stop there. Even if you ask for a CEO, it will always give you a white man dressed in a suit. And actually that's why I didn't wear my suit today. I just wanted to have one picture which is not white man dressed in a suit. I went for a pink jacket for a lady who is still a CEO. I mean, if the reason why somebody can be CEO or cannot be CEO is only the black suit and the white skin color, then we are in a pretty, darn difficult situation, at least for the next generation. So we have to make sure that there are more photos which are not like that. Okay, this is all problems. Good to know about it. Everybody knows that. Can we do something about it? Yes, first thing is awareness. Everybody knows that, but just putting it at the top of the head, at the top of the thought, helps sometimes. Second is diversity in data. There are enough tools, and luckily for us, the big companies also are getting burned sometimes because, let's say Google Home, Alexa, or some other system which is extremely good technically, but they didn't understand the person with a different accent. And then they are not able to make any sales in any other country except from the country where it was built. So they recognize this problem and they come up with the data. So there is a data called casual conversation V2. Please go ahead, take a look at it. It is by Meta. Even if you have trained your system, test your system against it. It has much more representation and it actually can tell if your system has bias or not, at least in terms of the data. That is a pretty good data. We tried it in our company and it actually gives you loopholes about it. The second very good tool is diversity in experience. Like I mentioned, the team was trying to solve a problem which was not there. So that is at the human level, but how about at the model level? So if your company is building a product which is about something particular, I will suggest always take more than one model and test it. And Google have a fantastic tool called WIT. And it is basically what if tool, which gives all the information. It's a beautiful tool. It gives data annotations, let you figure out which particular data is a outlier, and it lets you explore the features. And actually, even if you don't care about diversity, still take a look at that tool, because if your data is missing some features altogether, it is extremely easy in 5 minutes to know that this is the problem that your data or the model have. So always go for more than one options, because these AI systems are going to get deployed everywhere. Think about your use case not from your perspective, from the world's perspective. And the easiest thing to do is recruit people who are not like you. Like we all like people who are like us because it is easy for us to understand them. But little bit of uncomfortableness in that way will avoid a lot of embarrassment later on if something like I explained earlier happens to the product. Then the third thing is obviously diversity in ideas. So how do we now collect different type of ideas and what do we do about it? Actually, this is a very good research that was done by OpenAI. Go and take a look at it. It's called GPT-3 and bias. At least I named it like that because you can find all the articles on the internet by saying that GPT-3 and bias. they did a very good research how you can deal with something like large language model doing something which you don't know why it is doing. And you have actually literally scrapped the entire internet's data. What else can you feed it? So they did this excellent study, and they figured that if you basically do small releases of your project in the beginning, they call it beta release, you give it to only certain people who you know that they are not trying to break your system for no good reason, who are like trusted testers, and then take their feedback and incorporate that feedback in your system, and then again do that iteratively. That helps a lot. Go and please take a look at that. That is really useful. And the impact is pretty clear that, what it can have. In terms of the, I just kind of passed through that question, are there any enough women in the industry to be recruited in the first place, and are they, really good enough? Because it's not about, take this community further and don't take that community further. It is eventually about bottom line. So there is a path-breaking research called Transformer that everybody in the room would have heard about, because that research took industry from convolutional neural network to the ChatGPTs of today. And that research is done by a team which had female and male engineers in it. And one of the most important engineer on the team was Vaswani, and the other one was Nikki Parmar. So we have enough examples of such research also, which is done by women. Similarly, star technology. Right now, every single person is talking about GPT-4 and ChatGPT. And guess who is the Chief Technology Officer? It's Meera Murthy. Obviously, she had to prove herself to be the Chief Technology Officer of the company that is, so much talked about the technology. So there are people, it's not something which is, can't be done. It's just that people are not conditioned in the way, and that's why they are not doing it. And then coming back to our first question of what happens to the jobs. So as per the GPT paper, the jobs in all the curves will be taken, and the speed also is shown there. The number of jobs remaining will be like, how much is showing at the end, the tail. Those are the jobs that current jobs will stay. Rest all will be impacted by AI. And these are the different zones, zone 1 to zone 5. And as per the GPT paper, they say that from 1 to 4, all the jobs will be impacted. Like how much you are educated, how much time you have spent in research, you are going to be impacted more. If you are less educated, you have spent less time in education, you are going to be impacted less. Only the CEOs and the upper territory is a little bit safer, because they think that job zone 5, which is the topmost management layer, they will be impacted less. I can't understand why, but yes. So the jobs are going to get changed. This is the impact AI has, but that doesn't mean that we will not have jobs. We will have plenty of jobs, but new type of jobs. And what those jobs are going to be? Is it about black person screaming that, I'm considered an offender for no reason? Is that the job to solve that, case? Or the job is, the pregnant woman right now has to walk 70 kilometers in a developing nation to get a prenatal test done, and we are helping her through this mobile and technology. Is that going to be the job? So we will have job no matter what, just the type of job will change. So yes, this was the talk about, just bringing to the attention. I am a very small person with almost no significance in the industry to solve any of these challenges. But whenever you are building product, please, there are off-the-shelf systems. The 3 things I told about, casual conversation V2 data set by Meta, the WIT, what if tool by Google, and then the strategy by GPT-3 to how to launch a model slowly and safely. Those are all off the shelf. It takes 5 minutes. Please include them in your worksheet. And also when you're recruiting, please don't include AI systems for recruitment unless you have a human in the loop. and also be aware that if it is just using your past company data to make sure that it is recruiting the same type of employees, then good luck. In 5 years from now, you will have no women in your team, guaranteed. So with that, I just want to tell what are we doing as tinyML community, and can we start some effort at least. So this is the kickoff for WIT-ML. It's Women in tinyML. I'm going to be the lead of this particular committee, and we will come up with more and more programs just to get awareness and also the technical education to women wherever needed. So Tinush is our first member of WIT-ML. Please welcome Tinush. Yes, Tinush is associate professor, and very like we have seen in the conference, she is very active, and we are looking for her technical competence in the group. Then we have Marian. Marian couldn't make it to the talk today, but she is another professor, very accomplished on very relevant topics, like you can see in her bio. Next is Olga. Olga is almost running everything here. She helps me so much, I can't even imagine one person can do so much of work alone. And she's basically responsible for bringing this tinyML community to the level it is today, and she's helping us with innumerous projects, and we're adding more and more every day. And then Arisa, she's the founder of PlanX, and she actually brings another diversity angle to our board members. Basically, we have associate professor, we have the organizer, and we have the planner. And I'm the CEO of a company, so we also want to make sure that when we are introducing programs, they are for everybody. They are not only for researchers or a technical person, they are for everyone. And this is last, me. I was working in Qualcomm earlier, and now I have started my own company called Live AI Dream. It is in generative AI and computer vision solutions. And all the examples that I gave you, actually I experienced them when I was helping our customers. So, whenever a customer walks in with a problem to me, I want to make sure that they are not getting into the problem after getting the solution. So we have to make sure that they are getting more than what they are asking for, and their solution is foolproof. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Very inspiring talk. Thank you. Very, opening mind.
Sure.
I would like to add that as a part of tinyML Foundation and working committee, we encourage everyone to join this fast-growing initiative, Women in tinyML. So feel free, if you're interested, if you know anyone who is interested, feel free to visit our website, tinyml.org, and we have posts about women in tinyML. There is an interest form, or you can contact Chhavi or myself anytime. We'll be happy to help. Thank you.